Welcome to Modern Motoring. I'm Jay, and still trying new things. And if you're my age-ish, in your mid-40s, you might remember those trashy talk shows like Jenny Jones, Geraldo Rivera, Maury Povich, Ricky Lake, and some of their episodes were from geek to chic and from bland to grand. And 2025 Volkswagen Tiguan, all new for the third generation, they would fit perfectly on one of those themed talk shows. Why? Well, Volkswagen's kind of cosplaying as a luxury manufacturer with the Tiguan, and yes, they're still mainstream, but there's been so many upgrades and changes to their compact crossover that they're edging into luxury territory, if not already there. So let's go through how it drives. We'll go through some baseline numbers and just see what the big changes are that matter to you, the driver, the consumer, with the all-new 2025 Volkswagen Tiguan. Let's start off with our baseline numbers. So it's still a 2-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder, but instead of 184 horsepower from last generation, we get a small bump up to 201, so a 17 horsepower increase and 221 pound-feet of torque. 8-speed automatic, all-wheel drive does come standard across all 4 trims. For the 2026 model year, which launches later on this year, there's a new engine, and it's so puzzling as to why Volkswagen did this. It's not really a new engine, there's a tuned engine. So the 2026 model year Tiguan Highline, which is the top trim, gets the same 2-liter turbo 4 with 268 horsepower, 258 pound-feet of torque. You have to take it. There is no, I would like the base engine, please. Nope, if you want the Highline for 2026 and onward, it's gonna be that higher tuned engine. Towing capacity for 2025's Tiguan is now 1,800 pounds when properly equipped. And last touches on fuel consumption. This year, it's a combined 9.3 liters per 100 kilometers, and last year it was 9.4, so a marginal savings. But, and this is a good segue into the perks, there is no longer a third row offered. It was a silly offering to begin with. It was so small and cramped, and we did a review on the channel maybe a year and a half ago of that Tiguan with the third row spec, and it was just abysmal at best. The most noticeable perk here is the drive feel and drive quality. It is significantly better than the outgoing model. Yes, there's a little more power, and yes, there's a little less weight, 170 pounds of weight savings to be specific, but this newly tuned Tiguan drives so well. Lots of immediate power off the line, lots of passing power. Getting up to highway speeds has not been a problem for me at all. I've had the car for a week. I've driven on city streets and on highways and on back roads, and it performs so well, and it's nice and planted. It takes twists and turns oh so graciously. You don't really get that feeling of slipping or not knowing what the Tiguan's going to do. It's surprisingly quiet, and this is really coming close to luxury territory for Volkswagen, and more on that as we get through the perks, quirks, and irks. The steering feel is definitely a perk because it's just light enough that you won't feel like you're fighting with it in tighter parking spaces and heavily urbanized areas, but it's not so light that you kind of have that flimsy feeling to it. There's a nice balance, and if you do want something that has a heavier feel to it with the Tiguan, pop it into sport mode. It's just enough of firmness to make it noticeable. This is an available perk, but it's still a perk. If you opt for the Highline top trim, you not only get ventilated seats, but you get massaging seats. And you don't see very many of that combination here in this class of compact crossovers in the mainstream market. So Volkswagen's done really well. Quilted leather seats are very comfortable. There are physical buttons on the steering wheel, and that makes me so happy because the infotainment system is either 12.9 inches or 15 inches. More on that later, with no physical buttons. But I'm happy Volkswagen found the balance here with nice, cleanly laid out, easy to find physical buttons for the steering wheel. Let's go back to that infotainment system. It's so crisp and clean and clear and easy to navigate. I think they've done an excellent job of integrating not only it, but it along with the instrument cluster. And I know a lot of manufacturers are going for that long one-piece, 2-panel configuration, but it's not the case here. So as you'll see in the cutaways, they are two distinct pieces, and the infotainment system is angled toward the driver, and the instrument cluster is nice and thin. You can see everything through the hole in the steering wheel. I fully embrace the change in styling here away from the regular market. So good job, Volkswagen, on this. Here's my favorite perk for the interior. It's the volume knob, and it's not on the infotainment system. It's down here in the center console, and yes, it's a volume knob. Volkswagen heard all the complaints, so they put one in because it was only a slider. And push the volume dial down, and that activates your atmospheres mode. And that's just different ambient lighting and different audio settings. And then you swipe it, and that gets you to your drive modes. So not only do you twist it for the volume, but you push down to activate either atmospheres or drive modes. And to get to that setting, you swipe it and then turn again to whatever choice you want between drive modes and atmospheres. It is such a smart integration here. I hope this makes its way into so many other vehicles, or at least some kind of version of it. It is one of the best things about the Tiguan. This is another perk exclusive to the Highline, but you get open pore walnut trim that separates the upper and lower dash. And again, that's kind of things you see in luxury vehicles, not in a mainstream one. Wrapping up the perk side of things, standard features include wireless charging, wireless Apple CarPlay, wireless Android Auto, a remote start system, a height adjustable passenger seat, and I think that is so underrated. Manual, but doesn't matter, it's still here now. Power in the higher trims, and the standard safety list is pretty good. Automatic emergency braking, blind spot monitoring, rear cross traffic alert, adaptive cruise control, lane keep assist, and safe exit warning. Let's go on to the Quirks side of things. You get a spare tire, and while I like that, it's a little on the quirky side because a lot of other vehicles are going for even more weight savings by putting a tire repair kit, tire fill kit, instead of the actual physical spare tire itself. Opening and closing the sunroof are not physical buttons, they're little sliders as well, and while I can appreciate the technology of it, it's just a bit of a quirky thing. I don't think it needed to be there. I think you could have gone with just two regular switches like we have for the windows, or one of the many physical hard touch buttons on the steering wheel. The different atmosphere settings are a little on the quirky side. I don't think it needed to be here. It elevates the overall value of the Tiguan for sure, but I don't think anyone is going to have that at the top of their A-list. In front of the passenger is what looks like a screen, very Porsche-esque, but it's not a screen. It just has some creative, abstract, ambient lighting. But I wonder if they're putting it there and there's clearly lights behind it, if at some point it's going to be offered as a passenger screen. I think that would be extreme overkill, not only for the segment, but for a non-luxury vehicle. And here's my final quirk, and it's a today quirk and a future quirk. So this is a turbo engine, 2-liter turbo 4. The higher output engine that's coming later on in 2025 as a 2026 model year for the Highline is called a turbo engine, and it's gonna have turbo badging on the exterior. So Volkswagen, I don't know, it's still a turbo. It doesn't matter what trim you get, but I don't know, it's one of those little quirks for me. On to the Irks side of things, and there's not many, but there still are a few. The door pulls are so mismatched with the rest of the interior. They're gray here, and they're flimsy, and they're plastic, and they've got this gloss finish to them, and it's just so, again, mismatched. It stands out so much for an otherwise beautifully designed and well executed cabin. It's gasoline only right now, and there's no hybrid trim, there's no plug-in hybrid, and it's very Nissan Rogue-esque as far as the offerings or offering goes. You can have a gas model, and that's pretty much the long, middle, and short of it. So I feel that Volkswagen will come out with something hybrid-ish. I don't know which one's going to come first, hybrid or plug-in hybrid, but I think that's maybe a 2027, 2028 mid-cycle refresh move that they'll do. This is a minor Irk, but because the Tiguan is lower than the last generation, you lose a little bit of the cargo space. 750 liters with the rear seats up, $1,668 with the rear seats down. Let's run through pricing and a quick touch on competition because, well, there's a lot of it. So MSRP in Canadian dollars for the 2025 Volkswagen Tiguan. Base model comes in at $36,495. That's the trend line. All the way at the top is the Highline R line for $47,495. And in between that, there's the Comfort line and the Comfort line Black Edition. So pretty competitively priced. On the competition side, well, pretty much everybody has something in this class. But the two big ones for me are Mazda and Honda. Mazda because, well, Mazda's had that premium look and feel and positioning for years now, where they're not fully mainstream and they're certainly not luxury. They have that in-between place where they've lived and they've been happy by themselves because no one's really come close until the Tiguan showed up. And this can absolutely go head-to-head with Mazda's fit and finish and drive quality. And then there's the Honda CR-V. It's offered in a hybrid. The Tiguan isn't. The CR-V is very plain and basic, which is fine, but so is the Tiguan, but the Tiguan does it with more class and elegance though. So I think you've got to really want a hybrid and have really low fuel consumption figures as far as a deciding factor goes if you're leaning towards the CR-V over the Tiguan. Now, yes, there's the Toyota RAV4 and the Nissan Rogue and on and on and on, the Tucson, the Sportage, the Mitsubishi Outlander. So no shortage of competition, but I think Volkswagen's gunning for top of class here. This all-new 2025 third-gen Tiguan is going to remind people that Volkswagen is a solid player in this compact crossover market. That's going to wrap it up for the review. Let me know if you have any questions on what you've seen. I'm happy to get you answers as soon as possible. And I'm always happy to engage in respectful conversation online. I invite you to join the Modern Motoring social media platforms. We are on all of the major ones. And without you, there is no Modern Motoring. So I thank you, I appreciate you, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.